Suburban Gothic is currently streaming on Shudder. I threw this on blind. I went in knowing nothing about it. I had seen it pop up on a couple top 10 lists for the year as of now for people who make those lists way too early. But I'm glad I threw it on. I had forgotten that this was the director of Excision and Trashfire, which I enjoyed very much, both of those. And the same thing here. Neither of those two aforementioned films did I love and were like perfect films, but they were really entertaining. And yet again, this movie is really entertaining. They just fall short of being great, but really good, really fun times. This one plays a little bit more like a later John Waters film, you know, like something like a Serial Mom. A little bit different, but that's like the closest film I could compare it to. Now, this is primarily comedy, but definitely has horror aspects on it, for sure. But I would say, honestly, like 90% comedy. And the comedy is like going to be my first positive and my first negative, so I'll kind of do those together. The comedy is hit and miss, and there's just comedic, you know, timing that's off, and then some of it really hits. I want to say that I was smiling the majority of this film and then periodically laughing out loud. So it was like a nice even toned smile, like just kind of like, oh, yeah, all right, this is fun. It did lose a little bit of steam, like a bit maybe midway through, like around like the second act. It slowed down a little bit on the humor and stuff. I was kind of finding myself smiling a little bit less and laughing a little bit less then, but it picks up a little bit more steam towards the end, and I found myself smiling more and laughing more. So that middle section just gets a little bogged down. But man, this movie has so many recognizable faces. The first person I want to talk about, though, is this kid, Matthew Gray Gubler, I think. I don't know how to say his last name. God, I'm terrible with names. I always say that on here. I don't know how to say someone's name. But I don't. I recognize him from shows. I know he's on like that Criminal Minds maybe, or something like that. I've never seen it. But he's really good here. He's a really good lead in this. A lot of his comedy hits. He's got good comedic timing. I very much enjoyed him. I think he carried this film well. And his counterpart in this is Kat Dennings from Two Baroque Girls and, you know, plenty of other movies. And she's really good as well. Really funny. They work well together. They have a pretty good chemistry. So good duo there. You've also got Jeff, you know, most of the other names I'm about to mention are like cameos or like extended cameos, but you got Jeffrey Combs, John Waters. Ray Wise is a big character. He plays the dad, and he might be the funniest part of this movie to me. Ray Wise plays, as I said, the father, this racist asshole. My God, his dad's a dick. And there's a lot of comedy towards people's opinions of him that really worked for me. You've also got V from Shameless. Love Shameless, so cool to see her in here. You got Ben from I Know What You Did Last Summer, you know, the spoilers, the killer, and the guy they run over. And then you got Pablo from Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is cool. You get a really, really quick Soska Sisters cameo. So it's cool. I think that this it's subtle, but I definitely think that the director of this got some inspiration from the House movie, the Japanese House movie from 1977, like Hauzu, I think is how you say it. Oh, I love that movie. If you haven't seen that movie, it's on Hulu. It is beautifully bizarre. It's the only thing I'm going to say about it, but that is such a weird fucking movie. But for some reason, I am enamored by it, and I just think it's so gorgeous to look at and watch. I love that movie. The only negative thing I have to say about this movie, so I'll just get that out of the way really quick before I get into some of my more positives. is there's some shoddy CGI in this, but the movie is very, very low budget. And I think for the budget that they had, it's freaking great. It looks good though. I mean, the budget didn't hurt the way that it looks. I would say it looks as good as his other two films. It's not like there's like a drastic budget cut, but it's a lower budget movie, no doubt about it. So the CGI is something I can look past, even though it's noticeably shoddy. It's like, meh, I mean, it's a small budget thing. It's not a big deal. And I don't know how else, I mean, some of the scenes basically had to be CGI, but it would have had to been better. But yeah, anyway, I guess you could do like composite shots, but yeah, doesn't matter. Now getting into more things that I liked about this. This had a really cool soundtrack. You know, I'm really into punk rock music, and this has a lot of really fun punk rock music in throughout it. The dialogue is very witty. You know, the banter between people is funny. It's just, it's high energy. It's very sarcastic, kind of like Robert Downey Jr.-ish. That's kind of what the main character is like, one of those kinds of characters. Not as fast spoken as him, but you know, a lot of quick retorts and responses. And even kind of reminded me a little bit of like Shane Black, you know, with like The Nice Guys and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, something like that. Not that style, but that humor, if you were to take some of the humor elements out of that and insert it here with more of a John Waters flavor. There's a scene with toenails, that's all I'm going to say, that made me laugh out loud. And that's one of the scenes that I feel like is inspired from the 1977 House movie. I was just cracking up during it. I really like the main character Raymond's style in this movie. As far as like a plot goes, I mean, the reason I kind of skipped over that is that like the plot is so simple that it's mostly just about the comedy and, you know, the characters interacting and the situations. It's not really, the plot is just like this kid returns home to live with his parents for a while, and he starts, you know, seeing ghosts again he hasn't seen since he was a kid. And so he wants to help out, you know, try to talk to them, try to figure out why they're there, and ultimately either, you know, help them go away or whatever. And that's really it. I mean, it's simple as simple bits. But yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, I mean, obviously if you're into the things I say, that you should watch this. But this is not a film I would recommend to everybody. But if you're into like more silly, fun horror comedies, much more on the comedy side of things, I definitely suggest checking this out. Yet again, if you don't have Shudder, you should absolutely pick that up. For how cheap it is, you get so much cool shit. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to try my best to see Jigsaw tomorrow. I desperately want to see it. I am a huge Saw fan. Been waiting for this movie for like 7 years now. So, but I do live in a small town. I say that a lot, and I, unfortunately, as fucking usual, we're not getting it. So I have to drive an hour out, an hour back, and I work all day tomorrow. So I'm not 100% positive I'm going to be able to make it out and back in time for the later showings. We don't even have that latest showings where I'm at, even if I drive out to them. So I'm going to try my damnedest because I do not want to miss it. So hopefully I will be reviewing that tomorrow night, if not Friday for sure. So until then, man, bye guys.